Hello and a warm welcome to this brand new edition of Procurement Shorts, where we bring you headlines from the world of procurement and supply chain. Let's take a look at what's been making news. Wheat prices in Europe surged to a record high this week after India's decision to ban exports of the cereal. Prices skyrocketed to €435 per ton on Monday as European markets opened amid fears of food security caused by the war in Ukraine. The situation has worsened in recent times as Ukraine, which accounts for 12% of global wheat exports, is unable to meet supply commitments on account of the Russian invasion. This, even as food security around the world experiences one of its most challenging phases this year, thanks to a fertilizer shortage, poor harvests, and food inflation. India took the decision to ban wheat exports after the country decided to reserve its buffer stock to feed its population of 1.4 billion amid uncertain rainfall and an ongoing heat wave. However, the decision has invited sharp criticism from the G7 nations, as India had, only weeks earlier, committed to compensate for Ukraine's export vacuum. Indications are that the US and Europe would now look to sharpen their wheat supply chains to counter these restrictions. Food security isn't the only supply chain that's giving the US sleepless nights. A study by Rice University has revealed that America's energy transition, or electric vehicle push, could suffer a further setback given its reliance on Chinese-owned strategic industries critical to EV manufacturing. The pain point, Rice's study reveals, is nickel, a metal considered indispensable to making cathode precursors in lithium-ion batteries. Between 2010 and 2021, its use increased by 90% across the world, fueled by EVs, a period that saw Chinese firms forming a syndicate to mine, refine, and ship nickel sulfate from Indonesia. Batteries account for 7% of the world's demand for nickel. While stainless steel prices in China have decreased this year due to lesser demand on account of COVID-19 outbreaks, nickel saw some weakening on the London Metal Exchange too. However, the Shanghai lockdown has more than made up for this, as it has interrupted logistics in and around the city. Suppliers have had to hand over cargo containing stainless steel and nickel at highway intersections to prevent entry of outsiders amid a lockdown. This has extended delivery time, which in turn has caused both metals to experience an acute supply chain bottleneck. Doesn't matter if you're selling an EV or just any car. Estimates point to a challenging few months on the sales front for automobile manufacturers. Japanese car maker Nissans said recently that semiconductor shortages, sky-high raw material prices, the war in Ukraine, and lockdowns in China would contribute to a quote-unquote severe market situation in 2022. Despite some projections that the worst of the COVID years may be behind the industry, Nissan said it expected to maintain operating profits in line with 2021 levels. Despite some projections that the worst of the COVID years may be behind the industry, Nissan said it expected to maintain operating profits in line with 2021 levels. The company registered operating margins of 247 million yen last year. Nissan's president and CEO, Makoto Uchida, said, and I quote, "Although we expect the business environment to become even more challenging, we are confident of achieving our transformation plan and ensuring that Nissan remains a truly healthy and resilient company." End quote. Back in Europe, trade restrictions on Russia have made life and business difficult for Eastern European countries. Romania, Estonia, and Hungary, which import construction materials from Russia, are seeing a pronounced spike in material prices. According to publicly available data, construction costs in the three countries have risen year on year by 19.1%, 17%, and 16.3%, respectively. In comparison, the 27 countries in the EU saw an average hike of 9% in the same period. Reports indicate that this price delta between Eastern and Western Europe could grow wider as the year progresses. According to estimates, a short supply in construction material will continue for the short term, with longer lead times for steel and timber. Material reliant on imports is expected to be further hit due to difficulties in transportation, even as logistics costs continue to evoke concern among procurers. While availability of construction material in Eastern Europe is heavily dependent on Russia's actions in Ukraine, the fact is, newer products from newer supplies could enter the market and experience pent-up demand. Procurement delays, supply chain logjams, and now, theft. A study by Global Cargo Theft Trends, or GCTT, suggests that theft from transit vehicles and storage facilities accounted for 30% of all cargo incidents in 2021. The findings blamed congestion and idling at American and European ports. The study claims food and beverages accounted for 14% of all thefts, while agricultural produce and 12% came in at a close second. That's all the time we have on this edition of Procurement Shorts. In the meanwhile, log into bureaulive.ai to keep pace with more news and updates. Until next time, it's goodbye from us.